Hey, everybody, welcome into another episode of Back to You. I'm Kathryn Tappen, joined by Darren Pang and Craig Conley, and we've got Cody Merrow producing the magic behind the scenes. Good to be with you guys again.
Yeah, great to be with you too, KT, and especially after a great first episode and having John Hamm and now such an important part of the sports season, basically. So besides me just playing golf all the time, this is a good time for sure. Huh? On Niner.
Oh, I love it. Penger's on his golf tour coming out west here doing his broadcasting. But yeah, coming on the wheels of John Hamm, and what a great sports fan he is. And we're looking forward to our episode today, KT.
Yeah, we are. We've got Cole Hamels coming on, so we'll get to that in just a few moments. Of course, super excited to talk to him about the World Series. And, it kind of gets me thinking, guys, when I watch, I haven't covered baseball in a long time, but the years I did back in my days on Nesson, it was always the Red Sox World Series. And they won two of them while I was there. And it was just such a thrill. I've always loved postseason baseball as a little girl watching. I was a Yankee fan growing up, but watching all the games and then being, having an opportunity to cover the World Series in Boston was just amazing. And the duck boat parade afterwards, just really cool. But, we have a chance to cover so many different sporting events like this. And it comes to mind World Series, the NBA finals, the Stanley Cup final. When you're going back to back, city to city in a best of 7 game series, it's so much fun. It's like a traveling circus with all your media friends and your colleagues, but it's also like the anticipation of, okay, if we've already gotten to game 3 and it's 1-1, like we know we're going to 5, and like all the numbers and everything that comes into play. It's really fun. I love it.
Yeah, me too. I just think when you're in it, and it's fully ingrained in your memory. Every play that happened, you can recall it in a moment's notice. Unlike let's say in the NHL, October, November, December, you're still kind of getting a feel for teams and players and the way that they play. But for me, I've never covered the sports that you've covered, KT. But whether it's doing Olympics and getting right to the gold medal game or doing a Stanley Cup final. I get really fired up about it because you're so dug in, and then you're around. Yeah. You're right about that. When you're around everybody and you're hot stoving and you're in the bar, you're having some fun. You're meeting out
you're
for dinner, and then
flights with each other. You're like, where are we going to dinner tonight? It's just
awesome. You're waiting to see which guys aren't in first class, and they got to go to the back, and they're in the middle seat in 32F. Sorry, Niner, that would be you. Sorry,
that was
buddy.
me back then too. Every time I'd get on the plane, I'd have to walk past Panger in first class, go to my coach seat.
And Levy too. Don't worry. Levy had his nice little seat there as well.
He did. Steve Levy did as well. And then when we get to the city, I just made him buy me a couple glasses of red, and we made up for
it. So what's it like, KT, like Major League Baseball? Because I've never covered the sport, and it's not like I grew up a big baseball guy. I went to Jerry Park, which was where the Montreal Expos played. I think they just finally tore it down before they went to Olympic Stadium, and that's really kind of the extent of my youthful knowledge, other than playing Little League for a couple of years.
I just remember these guys are superstars. So when you are on the road and you're covering the World Series, or you're at Fenway Park and you're doing a pregame show, the entire city is sleeping, breathing this championship. And it's, of course, when the first time the Red Sox won it was the first time in a long, long time, back in 2005, 2006, they dropped the banner and the home opener against the Yankees. And I was up there for that. But I just remember, the vibe and like, can we get it done? These fans had been waiting for this an entire lifetime. So there was that buzz back when I covered the World Series for the Red Sox. But I just think in general, watching the reaction when these guys are leaving their hotel, and you follow the cameras have them from the second they enter the ballpark or the stadium or wherever it may be until the time that final out is called and they get back, and the fans are nuts and they're superstars, and it's just fun to cover, and they're at their height of their game. You see the best performances in the world during this time of year, postseason of any sport. So
they could catch awesome. They could catch a pee through fog. Some of the catches that get made, they're like just obviously incredible athleticism. But I'm always into the short stuff, the third base, the second base, catching something that there's no way in the world that they should be able to catch. Being a goaltender, that always really intrigued me. I got to be in St. Louis when David Freese, the local boy. That was a kind of a cool moment for me because I was new to St. Louis and not.
Yep.
I don't live and breathe baseball. I don't have a love of any particular team. And then I got there to St. Louis and saw what David Freese did under pressure, a hometown boy. And I was like, whoa, this is something else here. You can't help but just get swept up in it all. I was always maybe the opposite of national television's thoughts when it comes to the playoffs and it's got to be this market against that market. It's got to be this market. It's got to be major markets, and everybody for good reason, because ratings drive everything. But I was of the opposite. And KT, I was more like, everybody's got a picture of the Stanley Cup in their locker room. And why don't we applaud them more and give them so much more credit? And maybe they're not the biggest market. Maybe they don't have the fan base of some of the original 6 teams or other cities. But man, it's the best story. But then in saying all that, though, then it has to be a compelling series for me. Like, for example, last year in the Stanley Cup final, you've got the Florida Panthers, an unbelievable story, beating Boston in Game 7 in Boston, and then riding the wave and getting the final. But it was not a compelling Stanley Cup final. And that, to me, it needed to be if there's no real animosity or history between the two teams. So that's the one thing you watch for in this kind of series, including the World Series.
This is a good little bench clearing brawl, or a pitcher, ding him a little bit on the arm. I don't know, get the juices going between the
little tar on the bat, maybe.
There you go. That's great. Well, I can't wait to talk to Cole. So without further ado, I am so excited to introduce our next guest. He is a World Series champion, World Series MVP, and I can't wait to talk to him about his days in the Class A Lakewood Blue Claws team.
Whoa.
So here we have it, guys. Cole Hamels. And there he is, Cole Hamels, a World Series champ, World Series MVP, joining us here on the Back to You podcast. Good to see you, Cole.
It's good to see all you guys.
Thanks for coming on. I know you've been busy lately and, watching these series unfold. Also, you were in Philadelphia doing some work and hoping things would go a little later there. But just tell us a little bit what you've been up to lately.
Yeah, really just trying to follow baseball on a completely different avenue now with, being a fan, actually. That's kind of been something that's been great is, to actually sit in the stands and really kind of absorb what the playoff atmosphere really means without the nerves when you're having to play it. So, just being able to, I have kids, so I've been able to kind of take them to some games and just really trying to, be with them and be a part of, the whole atmosphere of the cities in Arlington and obviously in Philadelphia where I've played. So it's been great to kind of see those two teams and cities, advance so far, and especially the Rangers, with how special they have been around for so long and not had a championship. So, hopefully they're able to pull this one out.
Cole, that must be pretty cool, though, being with your kids and watching a game. How are you able to kind of separate the energy, the excitement, and all the fans that maybe want a piece of you at the same time?
No, it's actually been quite nice. Philly's kind of a different story. So, they've done very well with keeping me in different situations or just areas where it's more protective and you're around kind of similar guys, so we kind of can deal with it together. The thing with Arlington, the new stadium, that was something for me to be a part of. The other stadium and how nice that was, and now to see what they've done with the new Globe Life. It's kind of more new for me, so even I don't know where to go. But I think the fans are more shocked that I'm even there. So I don't think they really recognize me. And my kids they've just been really good with it. I think just to be able to sit and enjoy a ball game with them and for them to ask me questions and for me to kind of be able to explain it firsthand. It's how I grew up with my parents and my dad at a ball game. So it just kind of brings back some really good full circle memories.
Cole, along those lines, what were some of the favorite ballparks that you would pitch in, even as an opposing player? What were some of the places that you had circled on your calendar? Like, I can't wait to go there and play in that stadium or in that city with that fan.
I think, being from the West Coast, I'm going to. There's just that sort of, atmosphere and the weather. But then you do have the historical type venues of Fenway Park and Wrigley Field. So, those are something that were quite special. And then being a Philadelphia Philly, I mean, they do have one of the best ballparks and the best atmospheres as a player, home or visiting, to really experience. So they're saying something right there is knowing that what we're doing is to try to entertain. And when you play in a venue that people are there to really watch what you're doing, that's a special moment right there. It just kind of gives you that extra energy boost to go out and do something that we love.
Cole, when you went back to Philly just recently, we've got a little birdie that told me a couple stories in Philly. Philadelphia fans are so passionate, and when you came back to the Phillies games, they took you in as if you were still part of the team. Tell us a little bit about the fans in Philly and how they treated you back then and now.
No, it's hard to describe. I think they, because of their passion, their expectations, they want the best out of you every single day. Sometimes almost in a non-human type of element, but they just want to see winning, and they want to win. And so if you're able to do that, I mean, you're forever theirs. And you're also, it's just the gratitude that they give you for doing something that they wanted and they expected. And when you deliver, I mean, you can do no wrong after. And so I think that's what I've noticed is going back, not playing for them anymore, and obviously now retired, is they still show that appreciation, and it is loud. I mean, it is such a cool feeling to be able to see that, knowing that I made a difference and did something, for them that they remember, that they want to celebrate, and let you know about it.
Well, when Cole, and in Kathryn Tappen introduced you as a, World Series champ and MVP, does that still seem surreal to you as you're going through it as a former player now?
It does. I think after I got it so young in my career that then it becomes the expectation of this is just going to be what's going to happen every year, and it's this easy. And then you do. I think I went, the next 10, 12 years, the rest of my career, we never won. And, it was so difficult to get back to the postseason, and, it's so difficult to get back to the World Series. And now you have even more stages to kind of get through with, a longer wild card, and, to still have the NLDS and the ALDS and the NLCS, the championship series to finally get to the World Series. And then you've got to finally win there. I mean, that's a long month. I know other sports have 2 months, but in baseball, after playing, 162 games, obviously probably 30 games in spring training, it's a grind. So everything has to go right. People have to stay healthy. You have to have, the good breaks have to go your way. You have to have some sort of luck. And that's the part, is when you then actually do win, you kind of then realize how special it is, and you do cherish it.
So along those lines, Cole, when you're watching this World Series, you've got Texas and Arizona, the game is different than when you played, even just as recently as when you retired. What stands out to you about why these two teams are where they're at this point in the season?
No, it's the way I look at it is it's almost two different styles of teams too. You've got a more kind of middle of the pack sort of team is in Texas, where they really do rely on the big home run. They do have some good hitters, but they have to rely on that big home run to get the momentum back. And then you have a team like the Diamondbacks that are so young, fresh. I mean, these guys are stealing bases faster than I've ever seen, and more frequently. And they get hits, and they just constantly put the pressure. I mean, it's 1 through 9 in that lineup. They're not, they can still get the home run, but they're trying to just keep the ball rolling. The keeping guys fast on the base pass. They put a lot of pressure on a pitcher. Sometimes it just depends on your style of pitching, of what type of lineup you'd want to face. I think the Diamondbacks lineup's not the lineup I'd want to face. I would be more inclined to wanting to face the Rangers lineup. But then you have to look at the pitching, and they have some stud pitchers on both sides, and both bullpens. I mean, they got the guys that they throw so hard out of the bullpen now. It's not easy on hitters. So it's just they match up really well in just a unique, different way.
Cole, I'm going to jump in because I'm not just one second, Niner, because I'm going to forget what I was going to ask. So I got to jump in there, Cole. Sorry, I'm an old goalie, and my memory kind of fades in and out. But do you think is it a direct result of analytics for Arizona in the way that they play, or is that just the personnel that they have, or just the philosophy of the manager?
I think it's has to go because they're so young. I think they looked at as trying to get very fast, very defensive oriented. And I think then all of a sudden some other things came about from the analytics that I don't think they were anticipating. I mean, when you have guys, Marte has an 18-game hitting streak, from a second baseman.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what you're really anticipating. And then you have a guy like Corbin. I mean, this guy, he's going to win Rookie of the Year. and they have such other rookies that you don't, I think that they're going to be able to peak as quickly as they have so far in their career. They're only going to get better. So I think that's why they've been able to do so well. It was probably a lot of unexpected success. And then they all started to believe, and you do have to coaching staff. They've been able to really harness that and promote it. And, they probably have really good mentors. I mean, Longoria, he's been around forever. He's a tremendous mentor. So I think he's doing, a really good job with those guys. And that's, you now get to see him in the World Series 1-1.
Yeah, you just touched on it. I was going to piggyback on what Panger said. I mean, just as little as 2 years ago, both of these teams had over 100 losses. And now they're in the World Series 2 years later. So what do you look at? Is it scouting? Is it managing? Is it signing free agents? Is it just coming up through the system? Things like that. I mean, what do you attribute it to?
I think Arizona's done a really good job with however their philosophy is in building guys through the system. And then just signing the key free agent veterans that can help motivate and get the younger guys' performance better. And then you look at Texas. The way that Texas has done well is they've been trying to build something, and they've been doing it through the free agent market. I don't think they anticipated to be where they were this quickly. I know it was probably the goal, but I really do think Texas is built for next season and the season following. Yeah. So I think they're getting some really good success out of guys that they might not have anticipated also as being successful rookies like they have.
Cole, I'm curious to get your thoughts. I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but I'm a huge baseball fan dating back to days when I was a kid. We've talked about it earlier, diehard Yankees fan, and played baseball myself. I was taught the proper way to put my stirrups on, inside out, and then pull them up, make sure they're nice and high and tight. Love the game, covered it for a long time in New England with the Red Sox. I haven't, covered it professionally, but I've attended the games personally. And this year, with the changes that were implemented, I went to my first game at Yankee Stadium and could not believe that I was out of the ballpark by like 9:30 for a Yankee game. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on some of those rule changes, in particular as a pitcher, the pitch count. And the pitch clock, rather, I shouldn't say the count, but the pitch clock. And, something as simple as the bases, increasing the size of that, what that's done to the game. So I guess we'll start with the pitch clock and what you've thought of some of these changes.
I've looked at it, and I think it's been, for myself, a starting pitcher's dream. When you only play about 35 games in a 162 game season, we've got to sit and watch a lot of baseball too. So when a 4-hour game and we're going to be out within 2.5 hours, I mean, that right there is itself.
That's a win.
It really is. We, as starters, we used to have competitions between us of how fast we get the game over. And guys like Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee and Oswald, I mean, we literally were trying to beat each other's times for game time. Awesome. And, we're all patting each other on the back when it was successful because we all helped each other. I think making the game faster is more entertaining. And as a starter, I didn't mind going quick. That really shows how much you're paying attention and studying before the game, so that when you're in these big moments and it starts to speed up on you, you can outthink the other guy quicker. And that's kind of what I always wanted to do. I wanted the hitter I wanted to rush him. Because I felt like I was more prepared, and I was always thinking about 2 to 3 to 4 pitches ahead of time sometimes, so that I was trying to get you to just speed up and make mistakes. Wow. And that was something that I really felt like I trained myself those 4 days, not only with studying, but also in the endurance of trying to go quick.
Mm-hmm.
That's what all the goal scorers did to me, Cole, awesome. When I was playing in net for the Blackhawks. They hurried. See, what happened was, Cole, they hurried me up, and then I wasn't quite set for it. And that's a great strategy. Good for you.
It really does work. And that's where you really have to, I think, the faster you can get guys to get out of their rhythm. And like we always said, anytime you want to calm yourself down, you've got to breathe, you've got to step off, you've got to take a moment. Well, now we're at a point where the more advanced you are in your prep, you're going to kind of screw up the other guys, because now we're not really necessarily allowed to do that as much.
So how many hours does it take you to play a round of golf then?
Oh man, I'd love to be able to do it in 3 hours. I want to play 18 holes in 3 hours. I actually like that. I don't want to remember my bad shots.
There you
That's
go.
right.
Move forward.
Panger, great segue. So Cole, I'm going to take you back a couple years when you're out here in Scottsdale with the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
Spring training. I mean, you've had some incredible feats in your life. Obviously, I'm not going to say it was one of the best 24 hours of your life, but I think there was a little round at Scottsdale at Silverleaf that we were at in Scottsdale here, and then the next day you were pitching. Why don't you take us through what I'm talking about real quick?
No, it was pretty funny. I mean, just to be able to play, obviously at Silverleaf, one of the best courses, I've been able to play at, and with the guys that I was playing with Lester and Rizzo and Hap and oh gosh, who else was there?
I think we had a six-some or a seven-some playing
We
at Silverleaf that day.
Nice.
and I believe it was the fifth hole. It was a par three, and
Yeah.
it was about 196 yards, and I hit a 6-iron and just kind of flushed it, but had a nice little draw. But the way that it lined up where the flagstick was, it hit and then just started rolling, and then we didn't see it. And so everybody's like, "Oh, it's going to be in the hole," and we're like, we don't have a clue where that ball was going to go. And as we get closer and closer, it's in the cup. And
Nice.
Rizzo is it's my first hole in one.
That is so
To be able to
cool.
do it with those groups of guys too was even more special, because then they know I was telling the truth when I say I got a hole in one.
I videoed from the time he got off the tee box. I was in his cart with him. He was driving, and I was videoing him the whole way, all the way. We're like, "Where's the ball?" And he
Yeah.
walks up to the hole. Sure enough, so we have the video. We'll throw it in here in a little bit. But
That's great.
fast forward, Panger, KT, we tried to get him. Hey, get the private jet. It's 2 miles away. Let's go to Vegas. You have to do it, right?
I was saying, I wanted to know how expensive the barbell was after that, because knowing the guys you were playing with, the fact that you had a hole in one.
No, that's funny because I had to pitch the next day, so that's what led.
Oh,
I can't really drink. This is my last spring training start, and we're flying out to go to Chicago to start the season, and so I'm hitting, and I'm playing in a game, and my first at bat, I hit a home run. And everybody's like, "Are you kidding me?" I mean, pitchers don't.
He gets a home run and a home run back-to-back days. Are you kidding
Nope.
me?
unreal. I hope you bought a lottery ticket after that.
No, it was. I was like, "This is going to be a great season." So I mean, but everybody else is like, "Let's go to Vegas first. They will never know. We can beat the plane back to Chicago." I was like, "No, we cannot do that."
We were trying so hard, Panger. We're like, come on. And I actually went to the game the next day as well. And when he hit that home run, I'm like you got to get to the lottery store ASAP. It was unbelievable.
What year was that?
It was pretty. That was in 19.
19?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Are you a
19.
left-handed golfer, Cole? I know you're.
I am.
Obviously, you are, huh? If you were to play hockey, would you be left-handed or right-handed?
Left-handed, yeah.
You would too. There's an amazing amount of left-handed golfers that play right-hand. I mean, left-handed hockey players that play right-handed it's incredible, and I don't know how they do it.
No, I don't. But I do enjoy playing with hockey players just because they do make golf look easy, just because they're able to keep that that same sort of swing shot. It is funny to play with them, and then they are super competitive. So that's always the best. Is when you're playing with hockey players, the trash talk is another.
And just earlier this year, we were at Scottsdale National, and this guy had another round of his life. I don't even remember you were some astronomical number through, he closed us out by hole 12, and then he already took our money.
Yeah, once I took the money, then I was like, all right, I'll go back to being myself, and I just.
What was that 5 or 6 hole run that you had? It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Are you playing a lot more golf now, Cole? Now that you're retired, are you finding that you have more time to commit to the game?
I do, and I think that's the one thing that I'm really trying to be consistent with. If I can play once a week, it kind of keeps me mentally kind of sane as I kind of try to figure out this new chapter. Just to kind of keep the competitiveness and just moving and something to look forward to during the week. Otherwise, it has been very interesting to not have a schedule, sort of like deadlines that I have to work towards and have to create results. So that's golf has kind of been that sort of avenue that I'm escaping to and really enjoying.
I would love to elaborate on that more, because we love the conversation about, and I mean, we all have been around athletes. You guys are athletes, Panger and Cole, and the retirement situation and when it happens for athletes, it's always at different times. Certain sports have more longevity than others, but no matter what, there is a massive void when the game ends and when you got to hang them up. And I'm curious from your perspective, you talk about the mental aspect of golf helping you, but what other things have you done to try and find, nothing's going to simulate a World Series championship. Nothing's going to simulate getting on the mound in Philadelphia and pitching a game and having those fans scream your name. So knowing that, how are you accepting this next phase of your life and dealing with it?
It's, I mean, first off, hanging out in Home Depot isn't that fun. Go to Home Depot, it's like 3 trips in one day, and I've definitely
Ooh.
followed suit. Typical guy of thinking I can do stuff around the house. So, I find myself in Home Depot a lot. Not too proud of it, but at the same time, it's just having something to, when I wake up, I have a post-it or a to-do list that I want to complete. The hardest part about it is, I'll put 10 to 15 items on a to-do list, and I think I can get that accomplished in one day, and that's so not the case. So learning how to actually do that sort of part. But I do have kids, so I'm really trying to go and be a part of that life a lot more, because I did miss a lot of them growing up. So trying to be there for them, and a lot of it is being able to see a lot of the friends and family that supported me through the 20 years of my career, that I could not, be around them all the time. I mean, they were the ones showing up to my games. They would fly to a city. I couldn't really spend a lot of time with them, but just to show them how thankful of their support and their love during my journey of my career. And so I'm really trying to now visit them and spend time with them. And I think I've really enjoyed that. And so that's something, taking vacations. I'm now looking forward to some of these vacations that I can take in the spring and the summer and the fall that I could never do.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you
That's
sound like
awesome.
such a sweet guy. Man, oh man. Very
No,
thoughtful,
I
very
really
analytical.
am.
I would suggest one thing, that playing golf once a week is not enough. You probably have to play a little bit more than that. And number two, and Niner, Weston Weber at Celebrity Greens. I just had my green done at Michigan at my lake house. You got to get that, so you can chip and putt, and the kids are still there, and you can get them putting as well. That's my 2 thoughts for you. That's all I've got for you,
Oh
Cole.
man, I like that. That was
And
the
come
gift
watch
that I
hockey
gave
games.
myself. No, I did. Okay, so I am going to start, but no, the first gift I got myself is I went to the Scotty Cameron store and I got fitted for a putter, and I've always
Nice.
Scotty Cameron putter, and I finally got one. It was the coolest little experience that I've had, and there was my first retirement gift to myself.
Which one
Well,
did you get?
we're actually trying to plan a trip. Obviously, Cole's great friends with Rick Tockett, and colleague of your guys, KT and Panger, and Tock's been trying to get him up to Vancouver
Yep.
and see him on a road trip, and maybe we catch him down
Oh,
south and do a little golf trip around it too. But Cole, while you've got KT and Panger right here on the show, and you and I have talked a little bit about man, is he handsome? He speaks well. What about a TV role? What about getting into TV a little bit, Cole?
I know. I think, as you could see, I can be a little long-winded with my answers, so I got to
that's okay.
perfect that a little bit, because I mean,
No, no, you
with
don't. You
you
get
know
keep going that
huge
way. It's an
people.
analyst world out there, Cole. Okay, stay that way.
I just
Okay.
Panger doesn't shut up, and he has a job still on national television. So I
all
don't
right,
know.
all
Go
right.
for
Oh,
it.
okay. No, I wouldn't mind that. I think I definitely would like to look into it. But like anything, I want to be good at it. I just don't want to do something just kind of part time and in and out. Um, I've obviously worked a long time at baseball, and trying to be very, one of the best. So that insight and experience, I'd like to be able to, uh, use it and get the fans to understand it, and just being able to do it in as few words as possible, so everybody doesn't think that they can mute me.
Well, tell you what,
That's
Cole,
so
if you
funny.
want to schedule, just follow Wayne Gretzky, the greatest of all time, on TNT. More paid, less work. With all
Right.
those trophies that you have and awards and accolades, you can dictate when you want to be in there. So there you
I
go.
love
I might be your agent.
And a lot of golf. Wayne
Yeah.
puts a lot of golf on his schedule, so I think that would work
There you
well for
go.
Cole. Panger, you mentioned it, all the accolades that Cole has had, and Cole, I'm just fascinated at your start in baseball and the fact that right out of high school in San Diego, you end up getting drafted. You go to the minor leagues to Class A Lakewood Blue Claws, and some highs and lows when you're a 17, 18-year-old going to play with the big boys and living that life. You're not even 21 yet. To everything that you've accomplished, and I'm sure over time you're going to have a chance to reflect on all of it. But in those early days, like what kind of growth, growing pains and maybe some things you did that you wish you didn't, how did that help you as your career went on?
I think anytime you go from the West Coast to the East Coast, that is a huge adjustment. And I was lucky enough that I had the Phillies were really good. They got two college seniors to kind of be my roommates. So those guys really kind of showed me the ropes and trying to take care of me, but also then kind of dragging me out to some fun areas to right. But they protected me, so I think that was kind of the big brother role, that they kind of prep me for what it's going to be like if I get to the big leagues, and just those expectations and how to manage a lifestyle of baseball, but also a lifestyle of being a human being. So it is, yeah. I learned some, the do's and don'ts of, the bar fights, and the people to avoid, and it was good though. But I also did learn work ethic, and that was something that when you have the expectations of being a first rounder, um, in the city of Philadelphia, you are the next person to come in line to help them win a World Series. You are a big piece. That's what kind of the first rounder mentality is, and so I had to learn to kind of embrace that and what it took to be a ace, a number one starter, and the buildup is in the minor leagues. So that was kind of what I was able to do, and it was really fun to be able to see what sports means to the East Coast, the minor league, the historical minor league ballparks there, and traveling around on bus rides. Um, I enjoyed a lot of those times, even though you can kind of look back and go, "You enjoyed a 14-hour bus ride," and I'm like, "I kind of did." I was with a group of guys, all had the same goal. We enjoyed it together.
That's
Did you ever play the Bowie Bay Sox? I'm curious. This is like totally left field.
No, no, no. I know Bowie. I did
Okay.
not play against them in Bowie, so I must have, the way the road trip hit. I didn't attend Bowie. I think by then I was, gosh, I think I got sent up to high ice. All of a sudden back, I was back in like Clearwater. So
Yeah.
I bounced around a lot. I didn't really last full seasons in the minors, which I guess was a good thing. Um, but I did
Well, it
miss.
turned out okay for you.
Yeah, right. I guess so. Cole, going back to the diamond real quick. What batter did you have like their number, or who had your number?
Oh, so, I mean, there was three batters that had my number. Miguel Cabrera, I mean, Hall of Famer. That guy, I was so glad when he got traded from Miami to Detroit, because then I knew I didn't have to see him for a couple of years. And then Cody Ross and Adam LaRoche. I mean, I would give up home runs to those guys. I mean, I just, there wasn't going to be a game I wasn't pitching that I wasn't going to give up a solo home run to one of those guys. So
Wow.
I had to make sure, though, that we had some runs, and the guys knew. I was like, I'm probably going to give up a solo to this guy. And then batters that I had, it's really funny because I'm really good buddies with him, is Dan Ugla. And, I play golf with Dan. I mean, he absolutely despised me. I mean, he tried to not be in the lineup. He would literally tell me, because I think I struck him out 2 to 3 times a game. I mean, he was going 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts almost every game I played against him.
wow.
And he's one of the nicest guys, and he's hilarious now because we do joke about it. And he's good buddies with Cody Ross. So it's hilarious that I have these two guys that had the complete opposite results against me, and they're buddies, and they look at each other like, how did you strike out?
Well, Cody owes you then, because he's over here at Silverleaf and Whisper Rock both. So next time you're in Scottsdale, hit him up.
Rounds.
Yeah.
I've been wondering how the draft works in Major League Baseball. So you went 17th overall. Were you just at home? Were you with your agent? Were you like, what happens? Because in hockey, I mean, most guys that are going in the first round, all the guys that go in the first round, they're there at the draft at the venue. And I was just wondering what it'd be like for you picking up that phone, or how it happened.
Yeah, baseball is different. I know it's changed a little bit, with trying to get first rounders to, the MLB network, and to kind of have them in person. I was at home. I did have school that day, but the whole kind of, the school knew I was going to get drafted. We had three guys that were going to get drafted from my high school team that year, that we were
Wow.
all pretty high picks.
Wow.
And so, yeah, the news came over. I had a bunch of family and friends, a bunch of kids skipped school that day, my buddies, and they were there. And you had to find out on the internet, and you were waiting. It's almost like dial up. You're like, okay, refresh, 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 waiting for the rounds to tick down. And then all of a sudden I got a phone call from my agent, and he goes, "Hey, the Phillies just took you 17th overall." And then within a minute, the Phillies called to congratulate me. And then, yeah, you don't go to school that day. We kind of celebrated. And my other buddy on my team was the 5th rounder to the Phillies, Jake Blaylock. His older brother, Hank Blaylock, played for the Rangers for a while.
Yeah.
And then I had another guy that was a 7th rounder to Houston, Scott Robinson. And so, our baseball team where I grew up in San Diego, we were number 1 in the country when I was in high
I
school, which
guess so.
it was a fact.
Seriously,
So
right?
it was fun to play baseball.
I guess
we
it
won a lot.
was.
You
That's
can
a
play
great
all year
story.
round in San Diego too, which helps.
Yep.
Jeez. Number 1 in
That's
the country, and then on the weekends you get to go surf. Couldn't beat it.
True. Yeah. Surfing and beach volleyball. I was trying to work my skills at beach volleyball. I ended up not very good at that sport.
Cole, this is a
Well,
jealousy question. Just one more for you, KT, and I'm sorry, and sort of keep you. Cole, this has been phenomenal to learn so much about you and your history. But we can't carry golf clubs on the flight. Do all pitchers bring clubs with them on every road trip?
I think
Mostly
let's
pitchers.
90% of the road trips.
Okay, I'm
There's
out. See,
cities, yeah,
that's
there's
great.
cities that
That
you're just not going to be able to play golf, and then there's other cities you're like, oh, we're playing a lot of golf, like San Francisco, one of the best cities to play golf. I mean,
Yeah.
right around the hotel. I mean, you can go to Olympic Club, you got San Fran Club, or Cal
Hardy.
Club,
Yeah.
and if we have a day off, we go to Napa, and you
Nice.
play there. So San Francisco is
So,
Atlanta, one of the best.
Yeah.
so
If I was
basically, Panger, you should play
6'5" and
baseball.
yeah,
This hockey
I
thing
mean, I
was,
could catch
overrated.
a 5'4.5" bald goaltender. Probably couldn't have pitched anyway. It probably wouldn't have worked, Cole. But man, that is my dream job right there, being a pitcher in Major League Baseball. Man,
It was, I did. That's why, when you just asked, like, to reflect back and to just realize how incredibly blessed I was to be able to play something that I absolutely loved. I got to travel the United States and even up into Canada. I would have loved to play in the Olympics. That would have been amazing. But to do something that I got to check a lot of boxes, and now I feel comfortable in being able to explore a little bit more. I have so many friends all around that I can just touch base and stop in and reconnect with. Very, very fortunate that I have that, and I'm just going to try to enjoy that now for the next remainder of my life, and see obviously what I can do to bring back to the game too.
That's awesome. Glad you have a great group around you as you enter this next phase in your life, Cole. You always have your podcasting friends. If you ever want to come on the podcast, we're here, ready and willing. If you've got a free day and you're not going to Home Depot, or FaceTime us from Home Depot, we would do that.
Anytime, Cole. Anytime.
Yeah, but it's been great
thank
having
you,
you on,
Cole.
Cole. Great catching up with you, and we wish you the best. And we'll check in with you. Make sure you're hanging in there. And if you want to ever come on again, we'd love to have you.
No, I will. Thank you guys for having me. It really was a pleasure.
Thank you.
You guys, I could talk to Cole forever. I just think he has the best personality. He has so much to offer with regards to, playing the game. And, he was a very bright young man coming out of high school, and ends up playing in the majors and is now transitioning to a new phase in life, which I'm always fascinated by, the transition of professional athletes back to, they're so young when they retire and they have a whole lifetime to live, longer than their playing days, you hope. So I don't know. He was great. He was so much fun to talk to.
KT, it's no surprise after having that conversation on our Back to You podcast that it's the ability, to endear yourself to your teammates. It's your ability as a 17-year-old coming out of high school and to go through the minors and enjoy the process. That's what I got from him. And I played 3 years in the minors. I enjoyed it as well. But I didn't go on to be a World Series MVP or a Stanley Cup champion or Conn Smythe Trophy winner. This guy just, you could feel the probably the backing up from his teammates because of what kind of person he is. And I think that's a good lesson for all these young athletes. Like numbers, stats, big arm, great athlete, doesn't matter. It's how you evolve as a person and blend in with everybody else. And that was a really impressive conversation. I really enjoyed that.
I've had the pleasure of knowing Cole for a good amount of years now, and the one word that comes to mind is just humble. The guy's won everything that you could win. He was all-star pitcher, World Series winner, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
When he goes out with you, he wants to know more about you. Tell me about you. Tell me about your family. What's going on in your life? And he's so enthralled with your conversation, animated, laughing, laid back. just you're not going to meet a better guy in sports. You're just not. He's just an amazing human being.
I
Yeah,
love it.
and
Well,
a hole
hopefully
in
we can
one
get him
with
on
you
again at
too,
some point.
and a hole in one with you, Niner.
Yeah,
Oh
Wow.
boy,
right.
it was crazy. I mean, he literally, like he said, there was a hill in front of the pin, so you couldn't tell once it got over the hill where it went. So I said, you know what? Let's just start videoing for the time we
That's
got in the
great.
cart, and glad we did.
Good
And a home
job
run the
there.
next day.
Right, I know. Panger, just getting back to what you said, though, I think it's so important when he talked about those days in the minor leagues. And here he is, a highly touted pitcher, top first round draft pick for the Phillies, humongous sports market and baseball market in Philadelphia. But what he was able to get out of his system in the minors, and great having those two mentors that he did. But it's something I always preach, especially in this day and age with the immediacy of our society, right? Like I want to graduate college and I want to be on television today. Well, there's a reason there's a process in place, right? There's a reason you go to kindergarten before you go to first, second, third, fourth grade. You don't go kindergarten to fifth grade. And I say it all the time, get those kinks out, pay your dues, make your mistakes when no one's watching. And I'm just talking about television, but Cole, in his case, got out some growing pains in the minors. He was a kid being asked to play a big boys game. So I just think it's important in general in life to go through the process, the proper steps to make yourself a pro, to make yourself a good person, to learn from people above you that you really trust and you rely on. And he had that. He shared that example. And it's great that he had that foundation because when he did get the call, he was ready for it.
Yeah, he also said something too that I think we all figured out in life, and the guys that don't, or the girls that don't figure it out, usually end up paying the price a little later on. And that is, I basically, I'll paraphrase, but talking about the good people to be with, and then the bad people to be with. And the bad people want you to drag you down that road of doing bad things. And he also figured that out early and figured out which was the guys, what was that group that I could trust and lead me to the next level. So, I mean, so many kids make that mistake, and they probably don't at the time realize how fatal that could be or how bad that could be later on, but it is. And so, yeah, I think, I don't know, the guy, it's really, it is really impressive. I mean,
Yeah, great conversation. Our huge
What do
thanks to Cole Hamels for joining us. Wow, amazing. Loved having him on. Hopefully he'll come on again. But guys, it's time to transition to where Craig educates us on betting. And I want to start by revisiting who Panger picked to win the Heisman in our first episode of the Back to You podcast. So take a listen.
Because me and college football we're rock solid, but I got J.J. McCarthy winning the Heisman. What do you think of that?
All right, Panger. So we heard it, episode 1. You said J.J. McCarthy, Michigan's quarterback, is your favorite to win the Heisman. I'm going to tee it over to Niner here for a little bit more insight on where those odds are stacked now. Now, remember, Michigan had the week off, so things are a little bit different. Niner, can you explain exactly where these Heisman's odds are right now on this board?
Absolutely. Well, Panger, I really like J.J. McCarthy, even though they had an off week. His numbers are still right where they need to be. As we know, when the season started, USC's quarterback, Caleb Williams, and Drake May over at North Carolina were the odds-on favorites. They have since fallen off. Obviously, Caleb Williams and USC still putting up numbers, but the team not doing as well. Well, who's been surging up the rankings? J.J. McCarthy. He's been the odds-on favorite. His completion percentage has been unbelievable. The team's doing unbelievable. We've got him currently at plus 240 on DraftKings. And currently, the second person that we're liking right now is the Washington quarterback, which is Michael Penix Jr. at plus 320. So with that being said, and as each week goes by, there's not many weeks left in the college football season. So Panger, the key is, did you get your money in on J.J. McCarthy before his numbers are going down in the odds department?
Well, that would be smart of me, but I'm just a former goaltender analyst. I liked his hair. I think he's got great hair, and he's from Illinois too. So I thought that,
and I got jersey number.
And I got a lake house in Michigan. So I'm just trying to tie everything in. And this is, Kathryn, how I make my common sense like that. So I don't know. After the win against Michigan State on October 23rd, I think he was the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. After that, I just see a crescendo of confidence going up. Unlike my rookie year when I entered in the NHL in 87, 88, I started like that and I kind of ended like that. So I was trying to look at an athlete that wasn't going to end like I ended up in my rookie year.
Well, KT, before I get to you, obviously the Heisman the quarterbacks always get the most notoriety. There's, the odds-on favorite. Yep. You happen to have an up and close look at another candidate that you may want to put your money on right now. Tell us who that is.
Yeah, and I don't see him very high up on these boards, which I think could be a great bet to take if I were a betting person, but maybe I will be soon enough. I've had the chance to see up close and personal Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State's wide receiver. The last time a wide receiver won the Heisman was 1991. It was Desmond Howard with Michigan. So it's been a long time. To your point, the quarterbacks get all the accolades. We've seen other athletes win the Heisman before as well, but I think Marvin Harrison Jr., and I've heard this from my colleague Todd Blackledge on the broadcast, and he knows better than anybody, he's the best college football analyst there is, that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best player in college football, period.
Agreed.
I mean, he is a difference maker, a game changer. He's playing for the top 3 team. Some could argue Ohio State should be 2 at this point or number 1 in the country. He's a game changer. And his numbers just keep going up, and his work ethic off the field only mean that he's going to get better as the season finishes here. And we've got, I guess 5 more college football games to go, but that's my pick. So
yeah, well, if you were to pick Marvin Harrison Jr. today, you're getting him at plus 1,200 to 1 right now. So if I was you, I'd run to that DraftKings sports book and put it in right away. But
nice.
I mean, you can't go wrong with him. I mean, the gene pool between his father, him, everybody that you talk to, obviously you see him firsthand. You've got the inside track on
that's
the
cheating
scouting report, etc. But
KT, that's cheating.
The kid is legit. And if you're going to go off the board away from a quarterback, plus 1,200, why not sprinkle a little bit?
All right, I like it. Can you place that bet for me, Niner?
Hold on, I'm making a switch.
I'm in a state where it's legal, and actually, I'll just go on over to the DraftKings sportsbook that they just built here at the TPC Scottsdale. So let me put that in.
Well, after you're hitting balls, or
Niner,
before you're hitting golf balls?
Can you explain, because it goes to what Panger was saying? Explain why anyone would bet on someone that isn't the favorite. This line movement, like, what is that all about?
Sure. So basically what we're talking about when we talk about line movement is when throughout the year, after each game, whether it's NHL game day in and day out, we're so early in the season for the NHL, so it's gonna go up and down and fluctuate. But with college football, the Heisman race, everything's coming down to the wire here. So after each week, after each team plays, and you look a couple weeks ago, let's take Michael Penix Jr. for example. He had a tough week a couple weeks ago. The team struggled a little bit. He struggled a little bit. They should have been an easy win. But after something like that, his odds are going to fall. And if J.J. McCarthy a couple weeks ago puts up unbelievable numbers, which he's been doing every year, the odds are going to adjust. Who's going to be the favorite to win the Heisman? Whose odds are going to drop? Who's coming up? And like we talked about, the 2 quarterbacks, Caleb Williams at USC, I mean, everyone's raving that he's going to be the number 1 NFL pick overall. But if you look at it, his numbers haven't been great lately. And that's based on the team, unfortunately, and the team's not doing well. So therefore, when each team moves forward and has a great week, the odds are going to fluctuate. And therefore, you have to tell yourself, should I wait? Maybe Caleb Williams finishes strong. Maybe I put him in now. His odds have dropped. And if he's still going to be a number 1 pick in the draft, he's probably going to be a top 3 Heisman finalist. Maybe now's a good time to put it in with his odds higher. Or do you go with the odds-on favorite, and do you think J.J. McCarthy and Michigan are going to sweep the board the rest of the year? Maybe you put money on him, and you're still getting him at plus money. He was at a plus 1,000. Now he's only at plus 240. So with Michigan doing well, obviously we know they've got Ohio State on their calendar coming up in a few weeks.
November 25.
They've got Penn State too.
You have that one, KT? Are you there for that one?
We do not have that game. It's a day. It's an afternoon game. I will be doing the night game the night before, but certainly we'll be looking at that game. And unfortunately, with the new package, I think that game will be on a different network. So, but I'll be watching.
Gotcha.
Well, getting back to you, Panger, and I know J.J. McCarthy's your pick. I'm telling you right now, Michigan will beat Ohio State. I believe it is in the Big House.
It's very confident.
At Michigan. And after J.J. McCarthy and Michigan beats Ohio State, his odds are going to drop even more. So if you are comfortable and that's your guy, I'd put him in now, because at plus 240, you're still getting 2.5 to 1.
Oh, I put him in 2 weeks ago. You guys, I'm slicker than you think. Are you kidding me?
That's good. Because after Ohio State, he's only going to be plus 100, 120. So
I got to pay for my Mira clubs, So
the important things. Good insight. All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes on the Heisman race, as well as I know we talked Calder Trophy candidates, and it's only 2 weeks into the NHL season, but it's never too soon to start prognosticating, right, guys? This is what we do in sports. Let's figure
That's
out
what
who's
you
going to win the Super Bowl in August. But anyway, fun episode. Cole was awesome. Good to be with you guys. And hey, we'll look forward to another week of Back to You coming up next week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, KT. Niner.